Catus, Maximus here. This time with a quick video. Somebody, actually a couple people in more than one of my previous Ratchet videos asked about these Ace Professional Ratchets. I was looking online because I've had this Pear head for, man, 10 or 15 years, a pretty darn long time. So I assumed it was old, and so I've never really, or it was obsolete and they weren't selling it anymore, so I never made a video about it. Going through my Ratchets, just making sure I have as complete a channel as possible. That's kind of the reason I do all these videos every day. It's just a creative, not just for the sake of making videos, but for people to actually find some more detail about just a specific Ratchet. They may run into an Ace Professional or even a cheesy Task Force or Workforce brand and may just be a little bit curious to see what may be inside. So that's why I do these specific videos. Anyway, searching Ace's website, they're still selling these things for $17. So they're charging a fair amount. You can find snap-ons for 20 to 25 bucks in the quarter-inch size. So True Value, or excuse me, Ace Hardware is charging quite a bit of money for these little ratchets at $17 for a Taiwanese ratchet. It is a quick-release ratchet. It uses what I would say is a Williams Batwing style pawl. We know that because as we ratchet it, we can see that the lever actually moves with the pawl as one piece. I don't mind this design too much because it has a steel pin. This is a cast zinc reverse switch, but it does actually float a little bit, but it's held up pretty well. As you can see, this ratchet's had a reasonable amount of use. You can see about the wear on the anvil. I do like it. We even have a snap-on socket here, and look, it doesn't actually reject the ratchet that I'm attaching it to, so it can't be that bad. You know you have an absolutely horrible ratchet because when you try to attempt to attach a snap-on socket to it, it'll actually just blow the ratchet straight out of your hand. If you believe that, I have a car to sell you. The quick release is actually pretty good. I like this quick release design. If we go around here like this, some really poor quality quick releases, you can press on the ball and they just didn't get the angles right. So you'll press on the ball and it'll actually drag the button down. The sockets won't stay on very well. So I can say on this Ace Professional that they did do it right. It is a pretty solid quick release. Although it would be nice if they had a non-quick release version, just because when you have a quick release, you have to drill a hole through the center of the anvil. That does remove some material and does make it just a little bit weaker. A long time ago I greased this, so this will be a little bit greasy inside. I should point out that the anvil play is okay. It's an oak, if I can hold it a little bit more steady, there we go. It's okay, but it's not great. It's not anything to write home about. We can see that the stamping is not perfectly centered, but it's decent for the ball retention. Anyway, let me knock these two little screws out. We'll take a look inside. It does use Phillips head screws, but I do like the design because the screws go through the forged body of the ratchet and thread into the bottom plate. So I don't know if you can get rebuild kits for this Ace, but that's the reason that's a good design, is because if you strip out screws or you strip out the bottom plate, when you get a rebuild kit, it replaces all that. The problem with screws that go through the bottom plate into the ratchet body is if you strip the threads, after years and years of it, you're supposed to periodically take apart your ratchets and service them. And if you strip the threads in the forged body of the ratchet, it's over. There's usually not any extra space to try to retap them, or helicoils are nearly impossible when they're these tiny threads, and you basically ruin the ratchet. So that's why I like designs where it goes through the body and threads into a quote-unquote replaceable part. I have put quite a bit of grease in here. There's our little whoop. I'll get that in frame. Get our little anvil. It does not have any O-rings or anything under the anvil or under the bottom plate. But, that's not the end of the world because, well, I would say because it's a budget ratchet, but at $17, it's not all that budget. Here's our Batwing pawl. Really not such a bad design. So the only real caveat to this ratchet is it isn't fully disassemblable. The little switch goes through a center hole in this pawl, and then you can see they kind of just stamped it to splay it out to get it to capture the center post with this pawl. So in order to actually disassemble it, you need to use a punch and hammer that out. The reason the Batwing pawls are a decent design, and Williams have used these for years, I don't know if they invented them, but I always call it the Williams design, is because when you're ratcheting, as you're putting force onto it, it's trying to kind of jam the pawl all the way across, and so it's very good because it doesn't put any load on the actual reverse pin. It's transferring it through the pawl into the opposite side of the body of the ratchet. We can see that it does have 3 teeth, so it has a reasonable amount of engagement. I think this may be a 72 tooth ratchet. If we look at that, it's going to be a 60 or 72, so it has a reasonable amount of teeth. I forget what it said on the website. So that's really all I had for you. It's the Ace, at least on the quick release version, Pearhead ratchet that they're still selling, is a decent design. It's basically a Williams Batwing pawl, similar to the way the old Craftsman I-beam ratchets were. And I can tell you it's definitely a much heavier duty mechanism than what the Pittsburgh Professional and their swing pawl ratchets are, even including the Pittsburgh composite ratchets. All those have swing pawls, and those aren't very good. So actually having a triple tooth Batwing style design on this Ace Professional is reasonable. As far as being worth $17, that's kind of up to you. It's really, that is kind of a high price, but at least they're offering you something different. And I think it's like just worth $17. It's not an especially good deal, but it's not grossly overpriced either. So anyway, there's my little review and teardown of the Ace Professional ratchet, which apparently they've been selling for 15 or 20 years, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing, and if you haven't, and commenting, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you haven't commented, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.